cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in too. It's time again to cherish all the time you spend, you tuned in too. It's the number one podcast. The topics of discussion when we broadcast. So all them artificial man jokes, we do it natural from the concrete to a public standpoint. Real, wherever you're from, life is coexistence, but to know the real, you just gotta listen. Wherever you're from.
What up, everybody, and welcome to the 52 Scott Podcast. You're tuned in to our Black Friday episode. I'm your host, Freddie G, joined by K-Money, Slag, and Comedian 96. Collectively, we are the Mind of Men. Follow us on Twitter at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast. And for all my YouTubers, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. What up, everybody? And today's topic is the ghetto. What makes up the ghetto? And also, is gentrification a good thing or a bad thing? So, oftentimes, and it's sad to say, it's us, a lot of us as black folk. Sometimes we're not proud to be from the ghetto. Some of us look down on the ghetto. And there's ghettos all over the world.
Yep.
And I can honestly tell you, I'm from the ghetto. 3rd Ward, Houston, Texas, to be exact. And, you know, you have other ghettos, 4th Ward, 5th Ward. And it got me to thinking, what makes up the ghetto? Is it the houses? Is it the liquor stores on every other corner? Is it the little convenience stores that are on every other corner? Or is it the people that makes it the ghetto? Or is it lack of funds that's allocated to that portion of the city to where you can't fix up the streets? So I'm curious to know, fellas, what makes up the ghetto?
I must start. Can I start if you don't mind? I would say it starts with the people. It starts with the people, right? So you have, I know you focus on black people, or not just focusing on black people, because you got trailer parks, that so people call trailer park trash. You have poor communities and other races also, but I would say the people first, and the reason I say that is because again, started with black people. You call black people niggas or whatever, but a la Chris Rock, he has a joke that he talks about. You have niggas and black people. Shout out to Chris Rock. You have niggas and black people. Now, my definition of a nigga is, it doesn't matter. It's when you're doing stupid stuff, robbing, stealing, killing. Doesn't matter your race. I think a white person be a nigga. I think a black person be a nigga. I think Chinese. If you're doing some messed up stuff in your life and you just low down dirty, you a nigga. No matter what your race is. You doing some niggerish, that's some niggerish stuff. So again, if it goes back to the person, don't matter what their color is and how their community is, if they're getting, there's a lot of robberies, a lot of break-ins, that would then make that community low value. So it depends. It starts with the people, I think.
I would say the lack of funding, to that general area. It's a lot of funding that they could put in those areas, but they don't do it. And I don't know if it's purposely, but it's obviously there's a reason why it's done, because it's mainly black people that live in those neighborhoods. But here recently, you starting to see Mexicans in those neighborhoods.
Okay, I can agree with the funding.
So I think it's the funding.
I could agree with that too, because I like in this area in Houston. My bad, I'm need to cut y'all, K-Money. But this area in Houston, they have this little area in Houston. They have this place, Bensonet, where they go look for streetwalkers, so to speak. And it's been that way for years. But before Bensonet, there was another place called Hillcroft, and they were there at first, and they cleaned it up like within a week. But this Bissonnette has been like this for years. So yeah, I agree with you when you say it's got to be with the funding too, because they could do the same thing they did to Hillcroft to Bissonnette, and they hadn't done it.
I was just going to read the definition of ghetto. You know, it says a poor urban area occupied primarily by a minority group or groups. So it doesn't just
Poor minority. It doesn't matter.
it just
Minority
doesn't just
groups.
focus on one group.
Yeah, it's
one
groups of
ethnic
minorities.
But I don't
ethnicity.
I don't like the word minority for the simple fact that now you're pointing. We're all minority except Caucasian.
Well,
So
shit,
think about
they
it. So they're
becoming a
basically
minority,
saying everybody
actually.
except white people live in the ghetto.
Everybody
That's what that
except- no,
definition is.
every-
Okay, well, there's an important word within that definition, and the word is urban.
Yeah, urban. That makes it black.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah, true. Okay.
I can't.
Urban turned it straight black.
Black
then.
and turn it back black.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now it's okay,
Yeah, that's exactly what it did.
but then it's a double entendre.
So what happens when it comes to gentrification? Now, let me elaborate. So, the same area, and I want to harken back to Third Ward. Now, this area, for as long as I've known it, has been considered the ghetto. You know what? Let's not use Third Ward. Let's use Fourth Ward, because I can see something that has happened in Fourth Ward, which is now happening in Third Ward. So, Fourth Ward is gentrification happened in Fourth Ward, and a lot of building, and that was also known as Freemanstown. For those who don't know, it's a historical area to where slaves enslaved the street. I'm sorry, paved the streets. And so, with that being said, Fourth Ward is now called Midtown. So, is that still considered a ghetto? No. Because now it's the same area. They just started building apartment lofts, and now they're calling it Midtown, but it's the same location.
But it's not the ghetto.
But
It's upscale now. They turned it into a whole upscale type of deal. You can go sit down, have a drink, eat, enjoy, Sundays, daytime. So no, it's not the ghetto now.
So look at it this way then.
And the people there, it's not ghetto.
Look at it this way. So slavery, is that gentrification? Because you sure took us from one area, came, and we built this and made it better. So what I'm saying is, that's not gentrification, that's takeover. Because now, what they're doing in the Third Ward, you're buying up, U of H buying up TSU, pieces of TSU. Yeah. I think we ain't got like 2 or 3 pieces left of that. It's TSU, really. Not only that, they're, adding townhomes. If you've never been to Houston, but 20 years ago, you would not see a Caucasian person or someone walking a dog down the street. But if you come here now, you will see that. So to me, I'm good for bettering the community, but when you just outright just trying to take it over, it's like it's sort of like a slap in the face. I mean, especially taking a community from, where I once grew up.
So is Fourth Ward considered a ghetto now, today?
Well, that would be my question, because I can recall back in the day, Fourth Ward was
ghetto.
looked at as
It was.
ghetto.
It was. Third Ward, Fourth Ward, Fifth Ward.
But there was no money there.
And now they've built all of these apartment lofts in Fourth Ward, and all of these breweries, I guess, and bars or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. And they've kind of called it Midtown.
Right. Exactly.
And I understand that it's, very, very close to the downtown area, but I would want to know, is it still considered ghetto?
Do you think it falls under that definition, a poor urban area?
I can still drive through there and still see a bunch of blacks. I can still see a bunch of blacks. I can still see some of the historical housing, the shotgun houses.
Right.
Some of them are still there, but there's apartment lofts that they built around there too. So I can still see what was there in the past, meaning the black folk.
Right.
I can still see them there. They're still there, but to sprinkle in, you have more white people living there now.
So let me ask this question. Are these blacks that you're talking about, do they live in this area or are they just hanging out? Because I know rent and stuff over there, most black people don't pay that much for renting those lofts.
Well, they're living over there. They're living over there, especially over, for those of you who live in Houston, in the Fourth Ward area, there's a park called Wally Park off of, I think it's near Gillette Street or so, and Cleveland Street. And there's a little, like, apartments there, and a bunch of people live there. Then if you go deeper off in the back in the day, this used to be Lincoln High School, but they combined Gregory Elementary with Lincoln High School and called it Gregory Lincoln. Right. And now Gregory Elementary is now a historical black library that's there. And so there are a bunch of blacks in the community there. But again, it's Midtown. Now, for the older folk, we know that that's Fourth Ward.
Yeah.
But if you're moving to Houston, and say, hey, where's a good bar? The bar? They'll say, oh, go to Midtown.
Yeah. Right.
But we know that that's Fourth Ward, which brings me to the ghettos. Could it be considered ghetto because of the crime rate?
That's a good point. I was just thinking about that because if you look at the Third Ward area, even though it's gentrification and it's getting better, the crime hasn't went anywhere, right? But then if you look at the Montrose area, they houses just as old Third Ward houses. Yeah. Nothing happens in Montrose. You don't never hear anything happen because you're not going to be stupid enough to do anything because it's too close to. First of all, it's too close to River Oaks. So River Oaks is like the upper class here in Houston. If you're not from Houston, that's the upper class area. But Montrose is like right next door, but it's the hood basically. It's on the outside, sort of how they say in D.C. Next to the White House. But then you go out right down the street from the White House, it's crackheads. So Montrose is not crackheads, but it's still a lower budget area. So yeah, I think it's the crime rate because nothing ever really happens in Montrose.
But crime isn't in the definition. So I mean,
it's not that. But that was just the point that.
No, I asked.
It was a question.
I asked.
It was a question.
Could it be?
Could it be? That's what I'm saying. That's a question he was asking. So I said I think it could be, even though it's not in the definition.
So let me ask this. Folks moving to Houston for the first time, if they were to be in the Fourth Ward area, do you think that they would think that it was ghetto just from their first look on how it looks today? They would. You think that they would classify it?
No, they wouldn't. I don't think that they would. However, if they would probably say that there's some rough spots in the area. But I don't think that they would classify it as ghetto because of all of the business establishments.
The regentrification
the gentrification that's around it. But if they had to describe to a friend, hey, I just bought a new place. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Midtown. Oh, there's a bunch of great bars by it and a bunch of
it's nice.
Eateries and whatever, and you can walk your dog and blah, blah, blah. Then they'll probably say, they're doing a good job of cleaning up the rough spots that are around the area. They'll probably say something like that.
Yeah.
not knowing the history,
History,
not knowing
right.
that, hey, no, this is a historical
Yeah.
black. This is Freemanstown. This is where slaves.
Yeah.
You can't even take up the street, the bricks out of the street because these was hand laid by slaves,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's serious.
and they don't even know the history.
Yeah.
You know, so. So, with that being said, is gentrification a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah,
because it
it's
definitely,
good.
you just said it yourself. You know, folks that are that would be moving to Houston wouldn't think that Fourth Ward looked ghetto. So obviously that was an upgrade, for
Yeah.
the community.
Exactly.
But on the downside, the prices.
Yeah.
Can
Real
can
estate.
we afford to stay here after you change how to look? You give it a facelift.
Most of the time we can't.
Right, and that's a big question,
That's-
or a
that's-
big issue, not question.
And then you forced out.
Exactly,
Yeah.
a problem.
That's the problem right there. The force outs.
Yeah.
I can't get with people that they probably had their houses 30, 40 years, and there's an episode on The Wire. The Wire is, I love that show. It was a show that used to come on. It only had 5 seasons, but it was cleaning up there was a part in there where they was basically pushing all the dope dealers to a certain area that they thought was clean, but there was one old lady that lived in that area. It was always been quiet, and the guy was trying to buy her out. Hey, the city got a house for you, and she was like, "No, I've been here 30-something years, and I'm not going anywhere." There's so many people that feel that way, so bringing that type of change in that short period of time, I think it could be bad for the community and for the history of that community. That's
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad for those that can't afford it. Period.
Yeah.
Yes, and then the price hikes, even
Yeah.
if they are able to stay. Somebody 72, 82, 92
But,
years
but
old.
most of them don't stay because it's like you getting ready to change what I was used to. For
Right.
40 something, 50 something years.
Yeah.
I don't want to stay. Now let me just go do something else.
Yeah.
So is it that they don't want to stay, or is it that, hey, I own this home, and now you're building all around this home, which is driving up my property taxes, and I can't afford to stay?
You got to sell now.
It's politically being bullied. That's how I feel.
that's a
You
good,
bully. You a bullying.
Good term.
That's
you have
not right.
to sell. Now you got to sell it. Can't afford it.
Yeah, you can't afford it. Now you can sell it because the taxes too high.
Too high.
You gonna now you on some you probably normally paying $600. Now you gotta pay
Shit,
$4,000.
You might be through paying for the house itself already.
But
you
the
just
taxes
property
so
taxes going
high
up.
that now you
Yeah, you done had this house 50 something years.
yeah.
You probably through paying for it.
But we gonna make your taxes now 600 no more. They gonna be 6,000.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of the downsides is
That's the
trying to afford.
Big downside.
Yeah. Most people can't afford it, man, and it is what it is when it comes to that.
Yep.
Can you guys think of any other negatives or cons in regards to regentrification? I mean, because other than that, like I said, I can't.
That not only that, like I said, the history. So now you come into a community, say for the last 100 years, I don't know. Say it was a city that Carver, the guy that made peanut butter, he grew up in, and it's been black all this time, and then the next 5 years, it's white, and then 5 years later, it's even more whiter. But no one knows the history because you didn't.
So let me ask you this. Let's say in 1970, you have a home that's built in Fourth Ward.
Okay.
Also in 1970, you have a home that's built in River Oaks.
Okay.
Now, River Oaks, for those who don't know, is a rich area of Houston.
Right.
Now, all of those homes that were built in the 70s in River Oaks, and all of these homes that are built in the 70s in Fourth Ward, are they going to gentrify River Oaks?
No.
How you gonna
think so.
gentrify
They
something?
call it something else. They probably call it something else in River Oaks. remodeling.
Remodeling.
Yeah,
because
but so they're building all around River Oaks. All of these, everything that they're building and everything that they're doing around River Oaks is not. It doesn't look the same as it looked in the 70s.
No, they making it look
So
better.
so what is it? What's the difference between building up River Oaks versus building up Fourth Ward?
I feel like gentrification is just another way of saying we come to get that homeboy. That's what gentrification. Because think about it, River Oaks is a nice area, but you can't really access that many freeways. But if you take Third Ward or Fourth Ward, you can get on 45, 59, 610, 288, and I-10 from those places. Third
Okay.
and Fourth Ward.
I can buy that.
Yeah.
I can buy that. But let's talk about Baltimore, L.A., Chicago,
Right.
St. Louis, and any other city that's being gentrified. Can you say that the reason why they're gentrified because you can get on all of these ramps and freeways there?
To dependent, I'm not from there, but if we had someone from there, I would say it's something that is going to benefit, and in the long run is going to make money for that city or for that state or whatever. If they're gentrifying something, it's for a bigger purpose than what we can see.
Yeah.
But I already know, basically,
It's a monetary purpose.
it's a monetary purpose.
Yeah.
I want to know. I mean, I can't even see River Oaks being regentrified. I mean, who's financing what's being done in Fourth Ward versus what's being done in River Oaks? Is it the same?
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot. First of all, the short answer to that, I have no idea what the finance.
And the reason I'm asking is because I feel like the folks in River Oaks will be financing that. They're, like I say, remodeling.
They may be.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Again, I don't know who's financing what. However, I will say this. I think that gentrification has a lot to do with roads and structures.
Yep.
They may be building. Okay, this doesn't have a road. We need to build this road through here.
Yeah.
And let's build it through here. So with that being said, whether it's gentrification, whether it's good or bad, that's subjective on whoever thinks what about gentrification and what makes up the ghetto. But I will leave you guys with this. It's something that I wrote and had me thinking. It's called Ghetto Makeover. I'm hip to the games and the moves that you make, attacking low-income areas to build overpriced real estate. To hell with the single mothers and the elderly who rely on Section 8. Your plan is simple. Get rid of the poor and repopulate. Yeah, you gave the city a facelift, but at whose expense? I'll tell you who. The Third and Fourth Ward community, and I have the evidence. You've took a historical black community and turned it upside down. Build high-price apartment lofts. Now Fourth Ward is called Midtown. Same tactic, different community, but the evidence is clear. Threats to close down historical black schools put Third Ward residents in fear. Your strategy is equivalent to a master player of chess. Sacrifice the pawn so the bigger move can manifest. We've attended City Hall meetings to express our concerns. Your explanations turned out to be lies, we later learned. The end result, the poor folk got burned, forced out of their homes with nowhere else to turn. Victims of a well-planned conspiracy takeover, forced out of their community by a ghetto makeover. This concludes another dope episode of Black Friday. Tune in tomorrow for Music Monday. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 52 Scott Podcast, on Instagram and Facebook, the 52 Scott Podcast, and follow my YouTube. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And remember, the only way we grow is if you let them know.